you that have used Learning Upgrade, it's going to be fantastic. You'll have a baseline experience with the previous app and the previous LMS. But for those of you that are brand new to the program, that's okay. You'll be getting up to speed on the student app in the LMS. And then if you need any gaps filled in, we have other webinars we've recorded in the past. And then of course you can reach out to me directly, or Dan will be providing a link that will have all of the reps at New Readers Press. And that way you can get in touch with your local rep and you can have all of your questions answered if you're not having them answered here. But if anything does pop up, feel free to use the chat. You can also use the Q&A. We prefer to have webinar and product focused questions to go in the Q&A. And that way we can mark those off and make sure each one is answered. Whereas the chat, that's where we're going to be putting in things like links and helpful tips, things that are beneficial for you. So keep an eye out in the chat. That's where you're going to be able to find all the links and the guides I'm referring to. And then if you have any questions relating to the webinar, use the Q&A. That way I can go through one at a time and make sure that each one is answered. So we're going to get started with that. The first thing I want to cover is just a little bit of an overview of what we'll be going over. And so the first thing is going to be introducing the new student app. For those of you that have been with us in past years, you'll notice that it looks a little different, but it has the same design language as our old one. The main reason for needing to create a new version of the student app is that we added some new courses, and we also added quite a few courses to our upcoming course roadmap. So I'll be going over the new courses as well as the courses that are coming soon, and then just a general overview of the new student app there. After we cover the new student app, I want to spend the majority of our time going over the new LMS. As a teacher or admin, this is where you'll be spending most of your time in Learning Upgrade. And so I want to make sure that everybody online that's used Learning Upgrade in the past is comfortable and confident using the new system. And then for those of you that haven't used Learning Upgrade before, you'll have a great idea of what to expect once you get started with a pilot or license. So for the student app, we're going to be doing most of that in the slides here. And then for the LMS, we're going to be doing a live demo. It's a lot more beneficial to pull that up live in a browser so you can see exactly when and where I click and how to find all the important things that you'll be needing. So first, let's go over the Learning Upgrade student app. So at the core of Learning Upgrade, we still have our great lessons. Everything's built around that English and math, but you'll see that we've organized the lines a little more cleanly. We used to have English on one line and then our reading and comprehension on a separate line. And so to better organize our courses, we've tried to keep everything in their course block. So at the very top, we have our English basic through 5. And then next to that, we have our reading and comprehension skill courses. And one of the first things you'll see in English is that we switched K to B. And so that was some feedback we got from a lot of our teachers and from our students. Adults did not like seeing the K. They're okay, they're wanting to learn, but something about that just didn't sit well with them. And so we switched that out to beginner. And now when they start out on their learning journey as that pre-literate adult beginning ESL, it's just going to be beginner, and then they'll work their way up in that sequence from 1 to 5. We did the same for math. So we have beginner math, and then we have 1 through 8, pre-algebra and algebra. The course blocks at the bottom are new. And so we kind of had our digital literacy by itself. That course was released in April of last year. We still have digital literacy, but it's now categorized with our new upcoming skills courses. So you'll see next to digital literacy, we have work-life skills, financial literacy, and citizenship. Those 3 are roadmap courses coming soon. And so those will be available in 2022. So keep an eye out for those courses. As we move away from skills and take a look at the prep course block, these courses are all available now. And so alongside the brand new LMS that launched on October 1st, we also launched GED Reading, TOEFL, IELTS. And so those go alongside our GED Math and HiSET Math. They're all built around what makes Learning Upgrade great. We use songs, video, and games to teach. Each course has over 10,000 pieces of recorded audio. So we have all of that built-in feedback and remediation to keep your learners engaged and keep them learning at all times of day. Everything starts out with the instruction, and then we have the practice questions that allow your students to repeat each lesson to mastery. Most importantly, it's still available anywhere at any time. And so your students will be able to log into their student app and have access to these great new courses. One other big thing that we changed with the app, usually this isn't too exciting, but I know some of the instructors had mentioned to us that some of their students were getting a little bit lost in the onboarding. And it was usually the ESL students. And so we wanted to make sure that we streamline this process. So we removed the demo button. For those that still want a demo, they can do that outside of the app. But the app experience now is just built around students. So for students that already have a Learning Upgrade account, they know, well, just click the green button and I'm going to log in. I have an account. They'll be able to click that and log in just like they used to. It was the second option where some of our new students were getting tied up. And so what we did is now it says sign up, I am new. And so this might be some of your students that are self-enrolling. And so what they're going to do is click the I am new. And then we make it very clear here. This is a school account. I have a class code, or it's a personal account. And this requires a paid subscription. So students that are in a school that have access provided by the school know very clearly now that that is not the path for them. And to make it even easier, when they click on that personal account button, we require them to sign up right away. So they get this double warning and they know instantly, this is not the path that is on my self-enrollment guide. It's clear to see school account. That's what it says on the self-enrollment guide. I have a class code, and then they'll follow those steps. So ever since we switched over to this new app, October 1st, happy to say I've had 0 accounts of teachers reporting that students are choosing the wrong path. And that was something I would hear a few times a month before the update. So this update has remedied that for those of you that maybe had some issues with students not getting onboarded and enrolled right away. Okay, so this is the course map. And this is, as I talked about, we have work, life skills, financial literacy, and citizenship coming in 2022. We have the GED Reading and the TOEFL IELTS that are available now. So why GED and TOEFL IELTS? So you've seen our placement tables, and most of you, having students, ESL students, adult basic ed students working through, and you'll see we've always had the CASAS alignments, and students binge learn with Learning Upgrade. Even our pre-literate ESL students, they'll start out on the basic English. They'll work their way up to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then they were always wanting more. They wanted just one more course to help perfect and master the skills that they acquired from basic to 5 to get them ready for that high school equivalency test. And so that's really where this GED reading comes in. The GED math has been a very popular course. The students will go through our math upgrade courses and then take that GED math to prepare themselves for that GED exam. And so now we have one for reading as well. So for those of you that had students that worked all the way to English 5 and needed just one more course, that extra content to get them ready for the high school equivalency, now we have it, and the students are able to continue on this journey from basic to high school equivalency with one app. So you don't have to switch apps, switch programs. With one app, your students now have access to this fantastic pathway. You'll also see for TOEFL and IELTS, so for those language tests, what you'll see here is once they go through basic, when can they get ready to start thinking about taking this test? It'll be around English Upgrade 3. If they're at that bronze or silver medal in English Upgrade 3, bronze means they've gotten 75% on all 60 lessons, silver, 90% on all 60 lessons, and then gold will be 95% on all 60 lessons. Once they get that silver, so 90%, you're going to start to see that direct connection to your IELTS scores. So if they finished English 3, they'll be at that, around that 5. And then once they finish the English 5, now they're ready to do the full IELTS test prep. So they can get in there, they would score around a 7 to 8, and then they can master those skills, perfect those skills, and optimize their IELTS score and try to get that 8, 8.5. So these were the most demanded, the most requested courses when we were talking to teachers and admins. And so very happy to say that these are now available, and you can see where they fit in on the Learning Upgrade learning journey. And again, we'll be doing 3 more courses. After GED reading and TOEFL IELTS, the next ones were those skill courses, and that was the financial, the life skills, and citizenship. And so we're excited to be working on those already. Quite a few lessons already in development, and we're excited to be releasing the initial lessons in 2022, and can't wait to hear what your students think when they get a chance to play those. So here's a look at the TOEFL IELTS course map. You'll see that we cover everything they need to get ready for that exam, starting out with details, main idea, story maps, narratives, all the way up to the top with mystery, predictions, health, expository, research. And so this is the TOEFL IELTS, but I really want to focus on the GED reading, just because everybody knows and loves the English upgrade. It's been a fantastic product nationwide, and we've been really excited to be working with quite a few NGOs now. And so there's been a few thousand brand new students to Learning Upgrade just this year. And we just work with 1,000 refugees from Afghanistan. And for them, their goal is, of course, the pre-literate ESL to just improve their skills, bolster that refugee self-reliance. But Learning Upgrade has them dreaming big now. So when they come to the United States or Canada, they need to pass the GED. They need to improve their life skills, their work skills. And so we're finding very early that many are already getting to this course, starting out at the basic and then working up and getting a chance to pass the GED, which they also take in Canada. So US and Canada. And you'll see that, okay, English upgrade, we know and love it. It gets our students up to that E5. But now there's some new courses that are new for Learning Upgrade. So you'll see these civics and geography, economics and history. And so these are also important lessons that are going to be translating over to that citizenship. So what I want to do now, for those of you that have not seen any of our new courses, or maybe you have and you haven't gotten up to civics yet, is I'm going to log into a student
Select your course to get started. Select the highlighted lesson or press Go to get started.
So let me switch my share. All right, so you'll see the course map. I'm logged in as a student, and we're just going to play through this civics, and you can see one of the brand new lessons in the GED reading.
Civics is the study of the rights and duties of citizens in a nation. Topics within the study of U.S. civics include the branches of U.S. government, the separation of powers, important historical U.S. documents, and quotes from influential Americans. Civics questions often present a diagram, table, or passage in which you will have to find the answer. Make sure you understand the purpose of the figures and passages before attempting to answer. Determine if a figure is a diagram, a table, or a chart, and take a few moments to understand how to read it. With a passage, read it carefully and understand the kinds of information that are stored in it. Then, look at the question. Some answers to questions will have information that can be found in a figure, while other answers to questions can be found in a passage. Sometimes you will have to look at more than one figure or passage to find information to answer a question. Once you've found the answer choice that matches your prediction or the information in the figures and passages, select it and move on to the next question. Now it's time to try out some civics questions. Look at these figures, then read the question and select the right answer.
All right, so just like all Learning Upgrade lessons, we start out with the instruction, and now they're going to answer the questions, try to get that bronze, silver, or gold.
Do you know the right answer? Wrong one. Robert Kennedy believed the success of the gross national product was being erroneously used to describe how people were feeling.
Just like all of our other lessons, we have that built-in feedback. We show them exactly where in this passage the correct answer can be found. And now they're going to continue on answering additional questions. So that's just a quick taste of the brand new course for the GED reading. You'll see that there's a lot of new courses there and a lot of new lessons in the course that'll get your students ready and prepared to take the test. And so that's all I wanted to cover. If there's any questions on the brand new courses, let me know. Or if you have any questions on the upcoming courses for 2022, feel free to use the Q&A and I'll be able to circle back to those. But for now, I want to use the remainder of the time to get into the LMS. It's what all of our teachers and admins are using on a daily basis. And I want to make sure that everybody, again, is comfortable and confident using the new system. And so what we're going to do is I will get switched over and log into a demo account, and then I can start showing you what things look like. So most of you have probably already logged in and noticed the changes, have gotten at least your hands wet a little bit with it. But what we'll be able to do is do a deep dive here and walk through all the details. And so here we go. All right, so when you log in, the very first thing you're going to see now is your classes. Before we had our classes in a drop-down menu. Now we lay all of your classes out here in front of you, so you can organize your students however best suits your needs. So here, this is going to be our classes tab. Now in the header, what you're going to see is a drop-down. So for those of you online that had admin accounts, you were also a teacher, and then you were an admin, you'll know that in our old LMS, we just combined the functionality of those two roles into one login, and there was no good way to separate the features that were for an admin versus the ones that were for a teacher or a different role. So what you can do now is if you are assigned as an admin at your site, you can just click the drop down and you'll be able to access your organization admin duties. By default, we're going to have you starting out there if you're an admin, but if you're just a teacher, you'll be starting in your teacher role. The other thing you'll see is you'll have access to your account information. So in the drop down, you'll be able to set layout settings. So if you want to customize things, maybe you have a widescreen like mine, you can do a boxed layout. You can do different things with your background. We also have some accessibility options. So for higher contrast, daltonism, things like that. But that's pretty much all you'll need to know getting started here for your LMS class. First thing you're going to want to do is take inventory. If you have the classes that you need, if you don't, you can just click add a new class here, type in the name. You can customize images. So if you have, maybe a color or a favorite character or something that you associate with a class, you have the ability to upload images. If you don't have an image, don't worry about it. We will automatically upload a random learning upgrade image. To get into your class, you'll just click on it. And now you're going to see what looks a lot more familiar. This is very similar to the old LMS where we used to have those 5 tabs with students, courses, classes, teachers, and reports. Now, as you click into this class, you're going to see your student details. So I have 4 example students here that we'll be using for reports later. But the first thing I want to cover is student onboarding. This is the most important, the most critical part of a pilot or license. How do I get my students into the system and using Learning Upgrade? So to do that, we have this single button now, just add student. And in the add student uploader, you can add an existing student to your class, or you can add a brand new student. So for those of you that might be at a site where a teacher uploaded a total roster, then you can find them and add existing, or maybe you have 5 or 6 classes and you're moving students between classes. You can just click on this add an existing student to class. You'll see your entire roster. Now, some added functionality that'll make your life a lot easier compared to our old LMS is status. You can go just to active now if you only want to see the students with an active license, or maybe you just have a brand new license and you only want to see the deactivated students to get them back active, you can do that. So here we'll just look at the active students, and now we see all of these demo accounts. And what we'll be able to do is pull them into this class. So before, if you remember doing this in the old LMS, there was an add button for each student and you'd have to click through each one at a time. What you can do now is select all, or you can just do a multi-pick one at a time and select the students that you'd like to pull into your class. Once you're done, you can click add students, and now your class will be populated with the students that you selected. So that's going to be add an existing student to class. Most of our instructors are going to be adding new students. So when we click on add new students, this is going to take you to a different branch of the onboarding. And so what you'll see here is you can invite a student, and this is going to be student self-enrollment. So when we invite a student, what we'll do is pull up the student uploader. We're going to generate a code. Now we have that 7-digit self-enrollment code, and then you can download your class guide. You'll see that this has updated imagery to reflect our new student app, and this will walk your students through the exact steps they need to get started. Click sign up, click school account, they'll enter their class code, they'll get their username and password, take a placement, and then they'll have access to their courses. We also have this available in Spanish and Dari. If you need a different language, let us know, and we'll be able to get things translated for you. And that way your students will have their onboarding guide in their local language. The next thing you'll notice that's new is we've added one-click buttons to export to PDF and print. For those of you that are looking forward to the reporting, we did add a export to Excel, so you no longer have to copy and paste things into Excel. We have one-click buttons that'll take that into a file for you right away. So those are the instructions if you want to have your students self-enroll. You also have the option to upload student information. So when you're uploading student information, what you want to do is download a template. Once you download the template, it'll be an Excel file that has all the fields you need to fill in. If you don't fill them in, that's okay. We can auto-generate some of those things for you. But what you want to do is get that filled out. And then once you have it uploaded here, if there are students, I don't have a demo file here, but it'll pull in each one of the names and show you underneath the column. And so you can verify that the uploaded information is in fact the correct information. And then you can just use the course drop down here. If you want to do English placement, math placement, or any other courses, you'll do that. And then you'll submit, and all of the students that you had in your spreadsheet will be uploaded to your class. And so that's going to be option number 2 for the creating new accounts. And then the third is pretty straightforward. It's just creating a new account manually. If you want to type the names in, it would just be Drew Robinson, and then you can customize the username, password, click add student, and that's the third way. So those are the 3 ways to create a new student. You can have them self-enroll and download that guide. The second option is to upload the template, and then the third is to create them one at a time. And then the fourth option, which is not for new students, but you can enroll existing students at your account. Once you've done that, your students have their account information, they're logging in and they're completing lessons. Your class is going to look like this. You'll have students in your class that you've created. You'll have the courses they're enrolled in, and then you'll be able to sit back and track their activity as they complete lessons in the system. So far, are there any questions here? Let me check the chat. And so what I can do is take a quick pause before we keep going. So for Sherry Barkley, can you please provide a web link to the recording of this webinar? And so Dan is recording the webinar, and that link can go out to those that registered. And then will we get slides for this webinar? Eastside University has several instructors not able to log in. Yes, I'll be sharing the slides, and then there will also be the recording. And then for Marjorie, new to the program, will there be a webinar for folks new to the program? I tutor beginning adult readers. Yes, Marjorie, so we do new to the system webinars. But if you have a new pilot or a new license, again, feel free to reach out to your local New Readers Press rep, or the digital accounts manager, Rachel, is fantastic at New Readers Press. She's probably better at demoing Learning Upgrade than me now, but she'll be able to get you set up with a demo for a new user as well. So absolutely, Marjorie. Sometimes it helps to do a one-on-one, just because the presentation can be customized to your needs. Looks like you're doing, you're tutoring beginning adult readers. And so the focus of the presentation can be around optimizing the LMS specific to your needs. So yes, absolutely for that. Okay, again, if there's...
Drew, Vinod here. There were 2 questions that I already answered.
Okay.
And they were, one was from Laura. Is there going to be a HiSET reading course? And the answer is the GED reading course is also designed for HiSET and has sections on reading, writing, social studies, and science. So you can use the GED reading course for your HiSET students. And then Kathleen asked, what skills will the work-life skills cover? And those include communication, leadership, teamwork, social, emotional learning, things like that. But if you ever log into our student course and click on the map, click on the button, you will actually be able to see all the lessons, even though you can't play them. So Drew is showing you that right now.
Select your course to
Okay, there we go. So you can see that everything from adaptability and critical thinking, networking, resume writing, organization, and self-awareness, time management. A pretty comprehensive course on soft skills and work skills. Thanks, Drew.
Well, thank you, Vinod. I didn't see those questions, so I appreciate you letting me know, because I'm sure that was a question many had is, hey, you have these 3 fantastic courses I'm hearing about, which lessons are included? So again, just to repeat what Vinod said, you can log in
to
as a
advance
student,
to the
and you can click on any of the coming soon courses. We have the lesson maps ready, and so you can see the content that will be available in these new courses. Okay, so back to the LMS. So we logged in, we viewed our classes, we got our students enrolled. They have their usernames and passwords if they self-enrolled. But for those that didn't self-enroll, now we need to provide them with their usernames and passwords. So you'll know that in the old system, you had to click a button that said print passwords, and there were a few options, but you couldn't pick which students you wanted in that list. It was always an all or nothing. Now we include this into our actions. So you'll see that there's a select all here in your student list. We have a small group here, there's only 4, but let's say we only wanted 3. And then next to add student, there's a button for perform action. And so you'll see that there's a few options here. So if this is a brand new class, let's say I use the roster upload. Now what I'll do is select the students, and then I'll do show print class passwords. I can do print password list, and this is going to show me the 3 students that I just selected, and I'll be able to have a list usually for myself. But if you're going to be handing these out to the students to keep, and that way they have a reminder of where they'll be logging in, what you'll want to do is select the guide. And so now we'll see that we have our learning upgrade guide. And so we walk through the usage on a computer, browser, and then also in an app. So this is how you download the app. This is where you click. This is how you get logged in, and that it includes their username, their password, and their school ID. Of course, you can export the PDF, and then you'll have a 3-page PDF, or you can directly print it, and only the students you selected, or all the students, if you did a select all, will be included there. So once you have your students enrolled in the system, that's how you grab the usernames and passwords to get your students logged in. Now, similar to the 3 courses that are coming soon in 2022, a new feature for 2022 as well is we'll be giving teachers the ability and the option to push that login information to their students. And so we're looking at doing that via a text message or email, and then you don't even have to print these off to hand them out anymore. You'll be able to upload the student's phone number, email in that template, and then with one click, boom, it'll go to the contact information that you provided. So that's been a request that a lot of teachers have asked from us. And so we're going to be answering the call and delivering there. And so I sound like a broken record because every time we do something, it tends to be when teachers are asking for it. But let that be a lesson to everybody. If you use Learning Upgrade and there's something you'd love to see, we're always open ears, and we love hearing from teachers and admins about ways we can optimize the program. Because if it's something that would make your life a lot easier, then it's usually something that'll help out others in a similar position. So we love hearing from you. If there is anything, we're always open ears for that. Okay, so now that your students have their login information, we're going to have them logging in, downloading the app, and completing lessons. And so now my role goes as a facilitator from student onboarding to tracking and monitoring progress. So I'm hearing feedback from students. I want to see how they're progressing. So the first few things, since we're talking about the actions, if you need to make any edits, you can assign courses, remove courses from students. And then this cool new feature that's brand new is this print report card. So we always had requests from teachers, my students are in 5 learning upgrade courses. They've been working for 6 months. Where do I see everything they've done in just a little snapshot? And we didn't have that before. So now we have this report card. So when you click on print report card, we're going to let you know how your student's doing across all of learning upgrade. You can see their average initial score, their average high score, how much time they've spent in the last 7 days, total lessons completed. So at the top, you're just going to get some aggregate information. And then as you scroll down, you're going to get information on each course that they've worked on, how much time they've spent, how many lessons they've completed, and if they've earned a certificate, you'll be able to see those here in the report card, as well as their last play date. And so with these report cards, again, you can select all students or just a few, and you'll be able to get a quick snapshot and see exactly how your students are doing in learning upgrade in one small one-pager. And so that's everything that you can do in the perform actions as a group. You can also click this 3-dot menu far to the right here, and all those options are also available for individual students. So report card, print password, assign and remove courses. And then if for a reason, student's not in your class anymore, you can remove them from the class. If you want to remove them from the license, we've made that easy as well. You can just toggle this switch. You'll see I have 1,858 available seats. And then I want to remove a student here. And now I have 1,859. Student came back to my program. I'll reactivate the account. I have one less spot, but the student can pick up right where they left off. So now my students are logging in. They're completing their lessons. How do I track and monitor individual progress? So here we can just take the second student, Kenan, as an example. The first thing you'll see is these new buttons in the row. So the clipboard, that's going to pull up a student monitor. And so the student monitor, this is similar to the class student monitor that we had before. And once your students start completing lessons, you'll see a tile populate that space for each one. So each one of our English and math courses have 60 lessons, so 1 to 60. We'll list the course here. And then as they complete them, you'll see those tiles start to fill up. The next one, the little graph with the arrow going up, that one is going to pull up an activity log. So this is a session log for all the activity your student is spending. You'll see the course, the lesson within the course, the session log date. So August 27 from, spent about a minute on it, got a low score. And then you can also see the device, and you'll be able to see this for every single session that your student logs. And then, like I mentioned, you can do an export to Excel, and you'll be able to download these reports very quickly with that button. So that's available for each student if you want the student monitor or the session log. If you want to edit information, maybe you typed in the name wrong or the spreadsheet had inaccurate information, just click that pencil button and you can go ahead and edit student account information. Now, what we also have that's brand new is this used to be the end of your observation of a student in the old LMS. Now you can click on the student, their row, and each student will have their own student details page. This will list out their ID, their name, their username, phone, whatever information you've uploaded. You can also view their report card from here. And this is where you're going to see all of their courses. And so this is similar to the course information you'll see on the report card, but with more information for the breakdown on bronze, silver, gold. You can also view individual activity logs for each one of the courses. And then you can deactivate or reactivate courses. So maybe a student started out and you wanted them working on English Upgrade 4. When they self-enrolled, they decided to do something completely different. You can always go in here and deactivate courses. Don't find that too often, but what we do find that is often is teachers wanting to maybe assign courses or unlock courses. So we'll see down here, it looks like we're on pre-algebra. And so what we can do is if I want to assign a course, you just click the pencil, the edit button for the course, and you'll see a drop down here that'll give you access to all of the lessons within the course. So what you can do is, okay, maybe today in my one-on-one tutor time with this individual, we were working on coordinate graphs. I can just go straight to coordinate graphs. I'll update the lesson. And now the student is going to be assigned this coordinate graphs lesson, and they can work on that the next time they log in. Now, in some cases, if it's a brand new lesson, let's say the student is on lesson 1, but you want them to be able to jump around, you can just click edit, and then move the student to the final challenge, and moving them to lesson 60, that's going to unlock the entire course, and that'll give the student the option to work on everything in that course. And so this is the student details page. At the very bottom, you'll get a graph for course performance. And so this takes a look at their most recent activity. And what you'll see here is in the purple, we'll give you math hours, blue will give you English, and then we'll give you the total hours in red. Each one of these will have a different scale. So if they have, very low math hours like this one, just know that the scales are different. So it's a half-hour scale for the math, and then it's a 5-hour scale for the total and the English. And so that's why sometimes you'll see the lower number higher on the graph. Just note that the scales are different. But what you can do here is just roll over, and you'll get a chance to see exactly how much time your students are spending each day. And so on August 6th, I see 0.9 hours, 0.6 of that was English, 0.3 is math. For students that are very active, they're logging a ton of time each day. This graph can get a little busy. And so what you can do is drag the slider, and that will zoom into a specific day. And here now we're from August 24 to August 26, and we can just roll right along here, and we'll see the numbers populating on our scales as well. So this is available for every single one of your students. When you go into the student details, all you need to do is click on a student that is in your class here. So that's everything we're going to cover here in your class details. Let me go to the chat and the Q&A. I'll see if there's any questions. If there are any relating to this, feel free to reach out. And then Vinod, if there was anything that you were able to answer, let me know, and then maybe we can cover that live as well.
Drew, there were 2 questions from Christine, and Christine is at the Sonoma County Library in California, but after she sent them, you answered both. I'll just let what her questions were. One was she wants to give a student permission to access any of the 60 levels in the course. You covered that. And then she said, how do I delete a student account? I set myself up, and then I realized I was using one of our licenses, so I want to give that back. But you that too.
Perfect. Yes. So for the first one on the courses, covered that one. You just click the pencil edit button on the student details screen. One point of clarification for removing a student from the license is, sometimes there is some confusion here that it's worth going over. Is that license is the allocation on your account. So, you have a limit and you have available seats. So when you click to deactivate from the license, it removes the ability for this student to log in, and it frees up a spot. Removing from the class, that only removes them from your class. So in Learning Upgrade, students can be in multiple teachers' classes. They can be in multiple classes of yours. And so if you just remove the student from the class, that does not remove them from the license. It just takes them out of your class. It takes them out of your reports, but they still have access to their account. So just make sure that you're doing the one that you intend to do. If you want to do both, of course, that's fine. You can, remove them from the license and then remove them from the class. But I just wanted to clarify what the difference is between the license deactivation and then removing them from the class. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to cover here in the student details for your class. Let's just do a quick recap. So we logged in, we looked at our classes screen, we created a new class, or we logged into our existing class. We went over how to create new accounts for your students, so that's student onboarding. We can add an existing student, have our students self-enroll, use the template, or manually create the account. Once they're in my class, I need to provide them with their login information. That's where I can select them and then do the print passwords, or I can find those individually. Now my students are logging in, they're completing lessons. I need to track and monitor their progress. I'm able to do that individually by clicking on any of these buttons. I can also do that individually by clicking on the student here to view their details screen. So that's where we're going to leave off on here and transition into how do I now track my entire class. So we're going to switch from the classes over to reports. When we go to reports, these are going to be our aggregate reports. So now we want to see how everybody in the class is doing in a picture. So that dashboard that we have available for the individual student details, we're now going to see is available for your entire class, and it'll reflect your license. So we'll see the total number of students, how many of those students are active, and then how many total hours are spent. We'll also get a look at the last month of your class activity. Again, they'll have different scales. You can scroll here, and then you can also zoom on the slider if you want to get a better look at any day. And so this is just a quick way, if you're going to check in each day, this is how you ensure that your students are using the program, and you'll be able to see that for November 4, we did have activity, 1.5 hours in the math, 1.6 total. So maybe you have a rounding down to 0 on the English there, but there is a tiny bit of activity. But this is how you're going to be able to see in a quick look how your students are doing. Now, if you want to do more detailed look, we'll have all of our custom reports still available. So for our existing Learning Upgrade customers, you'll see that all of these reports are still here. These were the ones in the old reports tab that were listed under custom reports. And then you'll see, again, I'm the broken record, but our teachers kept demanding that we have a student certificate report. And that's a place where they can see all of the certificates that were earned, and then the ability to print them out in one go. And so if I have 100 students and they've earned 100 certificates, where do I see those? How do I access them? Well, in the old LMS, you'd have to click them one at a time. And so by popular request, we've now made it so that you have one report that it'll display all of those, and then you'll be able to print those out in one go. So before I click on any of these, it's more important, I think, to cover the use case for each one. In the old LMS, we noticed that a lot of our teachers like the student monitor and the student progress report by date, but the other reports are fantastic. And so I'll just do a quick overview of each one, when and why you would use it. So the student monitor, that's going to be a graphical report that'll show the activity for your license in real time. Again, each one of the courses for a student will show on the left, and then as the lessons get filled in, we'll let you know the score. Now, obviously, this is a demo, so it's not the most meaningful data. In a real license, it'll start on the left, and your students will work from 1 to 60, and you'll be able to track that progress as those rectangles get filled in with the medal that was earned. So this is a great way, and just a very quick glance to see which students are completing lessons. The only thing you really want to keep an eye out for when you're looking at this live, it's fantastic to see our bronze, silver, and gold lessons, but keep an eye out if you see the red. Red means they didn't get above 75%, and they're going to have to repeat that lesson in order to move on. So if you see this here, obviously it's a demo, but if somebody were to get a score of 6, that's pretty low, 6% on 100 points. So you might want to take a look at what that lesson is. And if you're a tutor or you have some one-on-one time, then you can reach out to the student and find a way to work on that content. The nice thing with Learning Upgrade is our claim to fame is that repetition to mastery. So since we do have that built-in feedback and remediation, it's not a cause for alarm like other programs. The students are going to be able to work their way through that. But if you are a tutor, this is a great place to find lesson content. So I'm meeting with the student at the library on Thursday. Fantastic. I can see these 2 or 3 lessons they struggled on. Let me build out my instruction around that. So that's what the student monitor's for. It's a quick way to see that kind of data. Student progress report is going to be a table-based student monitor. So instead of seeing the graphic color icons, you'll still see all the courses, the last played, but now you're going to see the data, the hours played, the current level, how they're performing on each one. By default, we're going to show you this report each course, but a lot of our instructors just want to see the total. They don't really care which course they're working on. They just want to know that the students are working. And so in that case, you'll want to switch to all by student, and then you can sort the table however you'd like to see it. So in this case, we'll sort by hours played, and now we can see, we don't care which courses the student's working on, just that they're working. We see 31.5 hours, and then we can see all the lessons. So if you want to get a table-based look at the total time that's being spent by your learners, that's when you'd want to use the student progress report. If you just want to look at the last week, the last month, the last year, you can customize the start and the end date. We'll show you the report duration here. So by default, we're going to look at the last 3 months. But if you want to go back further or make it a more recent report, you can just change the dates there. Student time report. This is similar to the student progress report, but instead of focusing on the course, we're now focusing on the sessions. So here we're going to show you every session log. So in order to do that, we're looking at the last 7 days. If you need to go back further, again, you can set the time parameters on that. But just know if your students have a lot of activity, since we're displaying every session, it will be a very, very long report. And so we usually look at these weekly, maybe monthly if it's a small group. And here you're going to see every session, how much time they spent, which courses they're working on, and then the device they're using. This is another fantastic report for our tutors. They can see when the students are working. They'll see how they're working. They can also target their conversations and their communication. Every single day from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, an individual that I'm working with is on learning upgrade. Well, that's the perfect time to set up a phone call, a Zoom, or have them into my facility if we're meeting face-to-face, and they'll be able to know when the student is working, when the student is learning, and which device they're using. So that's the student time report. The student pacing report, this is used for those of you that have dates on the calendar for testing or end of the year goals. With student pacing report, you can just type in a date that's your end date, and then we'll let you know how many hours time on task your students need to get a bronze certificate on the lessons they're enrolled in. So it's really a guidance report to help motivate learners. Student class in versus out. If you saw when I logged into the app, there's a little question that says, are you doing this in class or out of class? This is something that can be turned on for an account by request. So let us know. This is something that not all of our accounts have. If you don't need it, we don't like having that extra step for your learners. But for those that do, we can have the out versus in, and then we can see exactly how much time your learners are spending. And then finally, the new report, which is the student certificates. And with student certificates, what we'll be able to do is look at our classes. I don't know if I have any certificates with mine here. Actually, got tons of certificates. What am I talking about? So we'll see that there are all these certificates earned. And what you'll see is you can click on these. And then by request, we have an update that we're doing over the weekend that should be live Monday or Tuesday next week. And there'll be a button that'll allow you to print all of these off at one go. Right now, you can export to Excel that'll give you a table of everything. And so this was one of the most requested reports, and so we're very happy to have that live. So that's everything in the reports tab. I will go to a Q&A, but before we do that, just want to show you the last tab here. This is probably one of the most asked for things when we launched in October. We didn't have the teacher whiteboard clearly displayed. And so that was something a lot of teachers asked for is, hey, can the teacher whiteboard get its own spot? You know, I don't know really where to log in or where to find it. And so we heard you and we have this added. And so we have our classes, we have our reports, but for those that like to use the teacher whiteboard, and this is for in-class instruction, it's an unlocked version of everything we have. You can click on teacher whiteboard. It has its own spot now. It does take up a license spot, just like a student would. So you can activate it when you need it and then deactivate it when you don't need it. But when it is active, you'll see a play button and you can just click start. And when you click start, it'll just open up the teacher whiteboard in another tab.
Select your course
right
to get
there,
started.
and you'll be able to, start using it just like you used to. But the key takeaway is it has its own spot. It has a very easy button now to just click start. And so the teacher whiteboard is front and center. So if there are any questions on the teacher role, it looks like a few popped up and then maybe were answered. So Dan or Vinod, was there anything that we didn't cover or could cover live?
Drew, Curtis was asking questions more about the admin role and whether the admin role comes with a license and whether an admin can enroll students for the teachers.
Sure. So we can switch over to the org admin. So again, if you have an admin, what you can do now is actually switch that role before it was mixed in. So what you're going to do is switch over to the org admin. And as the org admin, Your default dashboard is going to have all of these reports. You'll get data now for the entire site. But to answer your question, how do you do things for teachers? What you can do is click on this teachers tab. And what you're going to see is all of the teachers at your site. If you want to log in as the teacher, you can just click this arrow with the door, and boom, we'll take you straight into that teacher's account, and you'll be able to do anything you need to do as the teacher. You also have the ability now to monitor and track all of their logins. So before you couldn't do that. Now, let's say a teacher forgot their login. You just log in as an admin. You click this mail button, and we're going to send them an email to reset their password and get logged in. The one thing you'll want to do is make sure that their email is correct. And if it's not, just click the edit button, type in their correct email, and then send the email button. And that's how you'll be able to get teachers logged in. But then also it's a great way for you to be able to log in their account and get students uploaded. Then you can also monitor all of the students at your site here in the Students tab. So for those that are responsible for the license, making sure students are active and inactive. For those that are in an organization with multiple schools, first thing you'll use is the school dropdown. Most of us, it's just one school. Then we can look at all the teachers. We'll select our teacher. Then we can select their class or all classes. And then this is a great way, without logging in as the teacher, to manage their license, get students onboarded, see how they're doing, and things like that. So we absolutely have that ability as an admin, Curtis, and we are working on adding more functionality to this based on the needs of our admins. And so to answer the question in short, yes, in the teachers tab is where you would log in, manage their accounts. To manage their students as an admin, you can just go to the students tab and select them in the teachers dropdown. And you'll see that there are, you can perform actions when you select the students. So you select them, and then you can do some of these group things. So if you want to print passwords, deactivate, activate, print the report cards, you can do that just like you would as a teacher in a class. And then you'll also have things, you'll have all the reports that we talked about as a teacher available to you, but for all the teachers at your site. For those of you that might be managing multiple schools in an organization, you're at a district level and you want to do an umbrella license, you have 1,000 students and you want to apply it to 10 different schools. We didn't have that ability before, but we do now. So just let us know and we can set up a hierarchy. There can be a district account. Then we can create 10 students. We'll apply the license to the district, and then the license allocation can be available to all of those schools. And so for those of you that might be thinking that we didn't have it before, but it is available now. So were there any other questions on that, Curtis? You can use the chat or answer, provide another question in Q&A if you need more detail there. Yes?
Drew, we've got one attendee, Marjorie, has a hand raised. I'm going to turn on Marjorie's microphone so the question can be asked.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead, Marjorie. You're on mute, though.
Hello, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my hand was up. I think I'm going to push that by mistake.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, thanks.
That's okay.
Drew, I think all of the questions have been answered. There's nothing left in chat. I don't see anything left in the Q&A. I'm happy to wait a moment to see if there are any other questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then the last thing I'll add for the admin is by default, everybody starts out as a teacher. And so you will only have a teacher role. But if you do need access as an admin, you can just reach out to us at New Readers Press. And what you simple request, just make me an admin, provide your username. And then what we'll be able to do is get you set up as the admin at your site. Now, once you have one admin at your site, then you'll be able to set other admins. And I showed you how to log in with this arrow door. You can use the envelope to send the password email. You can edit, but then this 3-dot menu, when you click on that, you'll be able to assign roles at your site. And so once we have an admin set at your site, if you want to make another teacher an admin to help the workload, you'll be able to do that. But just to repeat, if there are no admins at your site and you are that admin, let us know, and then we can make you an admin.
There is one more question in the Q&A. Curtis says, I think as the admin, I'd want to be able to actually enter teachers and students.
Sure. So you can do both. In the teachers tab, there's an add teacher button that you'll be able to use. So if you want to create teacher accounts, you can just click this add teacher. And then for the student currently, you'll need to log in as the teacher to add the students to that teacher's class. But we're working on some additional functionality for the students tab that would enable you to upload a roster and then select the teacher that you'd like to upload. It's not available yet, but hold tight. We are working on some additional functionality for 2022 that would allow you to do that. But currently, yeah, you'd be able to go to teachers, enter that teacher in another tab, and then upload the students as you would just as a teacher. But yes, you can create the teachers yourself. Just click on add teacher here, enter their email. You'll create their username, and then we'll automatically send them an email to the email address provided to set up their own password.
Okay. You want to show? Yeah, go ahead. I know you've got a couple more slides.
No, this is actually my last slide. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone in attendance. I appreciate you joining. Again, we work closely with New Readers Press, so feel free to reach out to me or to customer service or your local rep there. We'd be more than happy to get all of your questions answered. I know one of you in the Q&A was looking to get a brand new account demo. Be more than happy to get you set up there. And so again, any other questions that pop up after the presentation, always feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
I think you have one more slide, Drew.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that November is a great time to purchase Learning Upgrade, because this Learning Upgrade and Learning Upgrade materials are on sale this month through New Readers Press, 10% off. Use the promotion code NOV21. NOV21. You can do that by calling customer service 800-448-8878, as you'll see there. You can also do it by emailing customer service. That's nrp@proliteracy.org. There's also an email address there where you can go to our website and click on Find My Sales Rep, and you'll be able to talk to your sales rep. So what's available? Well, Learning Upgrade and all of the courses with more than 1,000 lessons and everything that Drew just outlined for you, as well as our student workbook and teacher guide for digital literacy. They are a companion for the digital literacy course. So thank you for joining our webinar. Thank you, Drew and Vinod, for presenting and for answering questions. And I think I'm going to check the chat one more time, but nope, we're good. So this concludes the webinar, and thank you all for attending.
Yes, thank you all for attending, and thanks for having us, Dan.
It was our pleasure.